Hi, Assalamu alaikum. Sulaiman Raheem here. Let's slay some demons. Welcome. Brothers and sisters, we're going to war. The great war of Armageddon. Who will survive the war of Armageddon? Is refrain we heard from Elijah Muhammad for 40 some years. We don't see the anointed with that call because he doesn't believe it. He doesn't bring that subject up. We'll understand that pretty soon. So this presentation is about the war because we're not reporting the news here. We're telling you what will happen. We can go CNN for what is happening. So brothers and sisters, we look around and we see much going on. Much confusion in the world. Those are paying attention. Many are not paying attention. They're in a deep sleep, deep slumber, mesmerized with all the illusions, distractions, delusions that Master has set forth for them to keep them asleep. Because their hope is to abort this nation that's about to be born. They're not going to succeed, but there's going to be a lot of miscarriages and stillborns along the way. A lot of us are going to be lost. My people are lost because of lack of knowledge. They say because they're sinful, or they mean, or they won't listen to Farrakhan, all that kind of stuff. So it's because lack of knowledge. So we're here to make sure you have knowledge. We're here to present you with knowledge. We're not here to transform you into something else. Well, there's a transformation that's taking place, but it's to a better you. Not trying to change you. You get more information. The more you know, the better you do. You do better when you know better. So all these people out here condemning you, pointing a finger at you and all this kind of stuff, don't pay attention to them. As it says, as your sins were black as coal, they'll be as white as snow. Because we're not in the condemning business for our people. Our people have suffered enough. They went through this process. They submitted. They was told to submit, they submitted. So what can we can't blame someone. You tell them, okay, go down that cesspool and clean it up. And then they go down there and come up dirty. Then you say, hey man, you dirty. Well, no. So if you understand the scriptures, and we'll talk about that a little more as we go along, yes, the sins, as long as we're here in this country, and we're still under the authority of these people, then by definition, our actions are their responsibility. Because if we're in submission, that we're doing what they tell us to do, then they're responsible for our actions. If you tell your children to go do something that they have no business, that's probably wrong, right or wrong, they hold the parent responsible because the child is obeying the parent. And we're told to obey. So how can we now be condemned from obeying? But now they have all these things all, see, you don't understand that because you understand scriptures, because they don't want you to understand scriptures. Because if you understand scriptures, then this will come clear to you. But this is all by design. Not only are Massa, you know, involved with this. The Sunnis are involved with this also. All of them. They distort scriptures purposely because they don't say it clearly. Because if it do, then everything would become clear. They would know that they're not the true inheritors of Arabia. So they say, oh, well, Adam, we're all from Adam. When the Quran clearly states that's not true. You think that's just their ideology, that's their dogma? No, a lot of this is by design. Because they tell it like it's supposed to be, right? Then all roads lead to us, that we're the true seed of Abraham and we are the inheritors. That's why all this confusion and stuff, the Sunnism is by design. That's why Prophet Muhammad said, this generation, he would not know them and they would not know him. And that's in the hadith. Also said 66 or 60, about 90% of all the people that claim they're with him are hell-bound. We have to understand these things, brothers and sisters. You think this stuff is just out there? This stuff is by design. Buddhism, Hinduism, all that stuff is by design. The lessons tell you that, but no one pays attention to lessons. Buddhism was by design. It started 35,000 years ago to take us off the mathematical standard, to separate the creator from the creation. All this is by design. And Sunnism also by design. And all that stuff that is so confusing, it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't add up. It's there purposely. Because it told it like it's supposed to be. They told the Quran exactly like it's supposed to be, right? Just in a general way. They would have to say, hey, wait, hold it. See? That we're the true seed of Abraham. The Ishmaelites also, Arabs also, true seed of Abraham also, but they're not the inheritors, we are. So I'm not going to, rather than let's move into the presentation. But there's so much going on, bro, since you just don't understand. All the nations are out to wipe you out because they know you're the God, and if you ever come back in power again, they got a lot to answer for. You have the Chinese now talking about, well, evolution, the way they talk, is bull anyway. But now they're saying, well, we're not part of evolution because we didn't come out of Africa. But there's some truth to that. There's some truth to that. See? They say they're a superior race. And they should dominate. And you're not taking that serious, are you? Because they're going to war with America. See? And while you're sitting right here playing NBA, NFL, and all that kind of stuff, the world's preparing for war. And who you think is going to protect you? Think Master's going to protect you? You already hear what they're saying. They're saying right now they need to depopulate the Earth planet. It's too many people. They got all these plans to eradicate population, mass population. They say they got to cut the population down by billions. So if they start getting rid of population, who do you think they're going to come after first? The nation that's not a nation, that has no power to resist. The weakest link always take the first hit. And that's you in America. You think, are you American? You're part of a nation. Each one of these are part of it. They don't BS you on that one. The melting pot. No, there's no such thing. It's like Frankenstein. You take a part here, part and put it together. You know how that turned out. America's Frankenstein. This part, that part, these parts together. But they don't go together. And under pressure, they're going to fight and tear each other apart. The Bible tells you that. You're part of a nation. You can't just mix things up like that. You can't just mix rabbits and dogs and cats and everything, put them together and say, okay, man, that's one herd. And that's what got you thinking. They don't think like that. They got you thinking like that. See, to keep you thinking off your game, right? Until they finally get rid of you. That's what scripture's crop. They're out to get rid of you. Let's make Israel extinct. No more be a nation, be forgotten. Who do you think they're talking about? That's why I got false Israel set up. So you think, oh, distraction. Oh, they're talking about them. What nation is a non-nation? That's original people here in America. What nations hate more? What people hate more than any people in the world? The original people here in America. Hated by everybody, including themselves. But when the crap hit the fan, then you're going to get together. See? Oh, now we brothers now. Oh, that's what's going to happen. But see, it's not going to work out like you think. Because all those that was in opposition, you understand, to Elijah Muhammad and to this message, right? They won't be a part of that unity. Be flushed out. See, because you were part of the problem, you're demons or you're traitors. If you're demons, you're not going to get, you have no possibility anyway. But if you're a traitor, you know what we do to traitors? Because you stand in the way of the unity. You stand in the way of it. Instead of help, like it says, if you're not with me, you're against me. And that's what it says. It tells very clear. If you're not with me, against me. So people say, hey man, why are you knocking these people? If you ain't with me, you're against me. Period. Ain't no gray area there. If you're not with this program, you're against it. If you're against it, you're going to pay the price. Because all my people out there, all our people out there, not your people, our people out there are suffering. And a lot of them are going to perish. That blood's going to be on your hands because they're going to perish because they got caught in the trap, got caught in the snare. See? Because you was out there so exploiting them, taking advantage of them, getting in the way, blocking the light. You will be held accountable, and blood will be on your hands. And there will be no forgiveness for that. You better read your scriptures carefully. What did Jesus say? He says, I'm not bringing peace, I'm bringing a sword. See? You got some tough days ahead, brothers and sisters. For those of you who are resisting and standing away, you got some impossible days ahead. Okay, let's move on to the presentation, brothers and sisters. War in heaven. That's what's going to trigger this war. In chapter 12, it says Michael and his angels. Let's move this over here. In a second here, brothers and sisters. It says new technology. There you go. The war in heaven. It says Michael and his angels fought the dragon and his angels. That war is within days. Literally. That's what's going to trigger Armageddon. The great war that's been talked about in scriptures. Elijah Muhammad talked about it for over 40-some years. You don't hear Mr. Alain Farrakhan talking about it, but that's the war that's going to trigger. He doesn't have it. He hasn't a clue. But that's the war that's going to trigger Armageddon. That's the spark. And it's about to take place. That's what we're going to be talking about. See? Who Michael and his angels fought the dragon and his angels. Who is the dragon angel? That's Sunnism, right? America, Britain, and false Israel. Michael is Farad, and his angels are the Shia. We see it's already taking place. I've been talking about it for years, and all of a sudden now you see it taking place. Now you see it taking place. See, that a coincidence? Oh, there's a lot of coincidences, brothers and sisters, nowadays. A lot of coincidences. A lot of them. Okay, just a short. This is the angel key here. This is the angel key here. See? And this is the angel key right here. Okay. And we're not going to go into details about it, but in order to understand the angel, understand the Bible, you have to learn this key. That's the key to it. It's the key to unlocking the scriptures. It's key to breaking the 7 seals. So just point that out, but we can move on. Okay, brothers and sisters, we'll give you a little background here. We have to understand the scientists, our scientists that write history every 25,000 years. See, they look, we see we're at prehistory. So they look ahead. We're not governed by what they do, right? They saw what we would do, and they can influence it. Because I'm going to show you how they influence it. They can influence what we do, but we're not governed, forced by what they wrote. In other words, people say, "Oh man, well that's the way, that's the scripture. That, that's the way it is. It has to be. What will be, and all that kind of stuff." That's BS. You do what you do. They looked down and saw what you're going to do, and they wrote it down. It's like an eclipse. What you wrote down didn't make the eclipse happen. What you wrote down, you was able to figure out how the eclipse worked, the planets and everything worked. He said, they wrote it down. That's the way it works. So they saw what we would do. Now they influence it because words are pressure. Our minds, our thoughts are pressure. Pressure is force. Nothing moves without force. You move your body because you have thought. Thought moves your body, so thought must be force. There's nothing. Now you can't find, they all say, we got spirit and you got soul. None of that stuff. It's all BS. They can't prove any of it. It's very simple. Everything is mathematics. Everything around is mathematics. Thought is force. Thought is pressure. See? So words are thoughts. See? So you can change, you change a person's thoughts, you change the reality. Because the reality you're living in right now came from people's brains, people's minds. It didn't just come out of nowhere. Came out, the whole world you're looking at right now came out of people's minds. See? So you can influence that. See? That you can write down there's going to be an eclipse, but you can influence the eclipse if you got power enough, right, to move a planet or something. You can influence it. So they can influence the situation. And what they do is they take and put it out, so they tell the people, you understand, at that time, you understand, what's the best, they give them the information. In other words, they send this information out as a bomb. It's an explosion because it changed reality. And it changed reality to be the best, right? Give people the people, right? The best software, right? Minds, right? To make the reality the best for that period of time. And those who accept it, they survive, right? They move on. Those that can't, and now disbelievers, because they can't understand it. The pressure's too great for them, so they're crushed by it. So the scientists they send these books. They're atom, ATTOM bombs, because they're going to change reality. And they send them, and one person, they only need to send one person, right, that can take that bomb and ignite it. They don't send a whole army. They send one person, messing with a prophet, a scientist, right? They raise him up or send him, he comes, he ignite it, and that changed reality. See, a simple example. Say there's going to be an ice age. See, they see all this coming. So they say, okay, so they send a book and tell you, bam, bam, what to do. So now you set up this you said, okay, you make stoves, you build sort of houses, kind of stuff. So when ice comes, you survive it. See, because you change the reality of the situation. Otherwise, those that don't, they're frozen, end up being icebergs. So that's a very simple, simplistic explanation. So that's what they do. They send these down. So they send these scriptures down. These scriptures are pressure. That's what words are, pressure waves. Your voice, you're speaking, that's a pressure wave. You hear pressure waves. You have to understand that. That's these scriptures do. They're not just books. Because every one of them changed reality. You go back and look at the history of each one of those books, and when they came into existence, they changed reality. That means they're more than just something that somebody wrote down. Because you know anything that can change reality? They changed the total reality of the people that took the book. They changed reality, right? And they moved the people that was previous, right? They moved them out the way because they changed reality. The old reality was dismissed, cast out. Understand that, brothers and sisters. So this is a particular bomb, a special one of the most complex bombs they ever sent, because at a time of unprecedented trouble, because they want a certain result. They want to bring in a kingdom that's going to last forever. This bomb had to be very intense to produce that person that could bring that new reality in. So he had to be a very special person that could handle all the greatest pressure ever possible, because remember, your time of unprecedented trouble, so this has to be an unprecedented person. If it was a time of unprecedented trouble, that means the person that ignites that bomb has to be an unprecedented person. That's why Suleiman had to be an unprecedented person to deal with unprecedented situation. That's why I said no one could ignite that, break those seals, ignite that bomb but him. No one in heavens, earth, or unearth. Unprecedented person to deal with unprecedented situation. See? And it takes a lot of pressure to bring that type of person to existence, because pressure is what brought you into existence. Because as the pressure increases, right, then that means the strongest emerge. The strongest sperm is the one that gets to the egg. The weaker ones, they're distracted and all that kind of stuff. They left behind, they end up being flushed down the toilet. The strong pressure always produces the strongest one. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. So this bomb, I'm just going to give you a little short thing here, right? This bomb ignited to bring in the new revelation, the new reality. So make all things new. That means everything you see, so old things are formed, pass away. All this you see is going to pass away. So it's going to be new. Ain't going to be anything like this. There you go. There you go. In case you missed it. In case you missed it, right? I make all things new. It be former things that pass away. It be nothing like before. It says no heart or mind, right, can imagine the new things that's coming in. And the angel is setting you up. It's getting your mind straight, because the mathematics that they apply right now, you don't understand it, but it came from the Bible. Because when you study the Bible and everything else, it started reorganizing your mind. And so therefore, you start thinking a certain kind of way. And when you think, because you think mathematically, you don't realize it. So now you can think, so that's the mathematics that comes forth. See? This person, Isaac Newton, he's the father of this physics that we see, this mathematics that we see, this mathematical world that we see, right? Reality, he's a father of it. He was a very religious man, studied the Bible. His very fundamental principle, the most fundamental principle of everything he taught about was every action has opposite with equal reaction. Every action has an opposite equal reaction. That's the foundation of all this science, which simply comes from the Bible. You reap what you sow. So when you study the angel, you're preparing your mind for the new mathematics that's coming in, because you're going to be thinking that way. So it just takes, it's easy, right? For it to start flowing out, because you're going to start thinking that way now. Or you got to put words to it. See, he started thinking mathematically, right? He had to put words to it. Put words to it. See, he started. You understand? So in other words, you start thinking in that way. So then come forward like the math that comes from that type of thinking. The math that comes forward with that type of thinking. So when you get the angel, there's some math that comes forth from that type of thinking, which is totally new, because it explains everything. It's a total new way of thinking. That's what Elijah Muhammad said. He says, Suleiman, see, they don't think, oh, ain't nobody coming after. He says, he will give you a new way of thinking. He will give you a new way of thinking. See, okay, let's see. This explosion started, it was ignited by Prophet Jesus of 2,000 years ago. This particular bomb, to get a certain result, to bring Suleiman into existence. Enough pressure to build an unprecedented person for unprecedented time, right, to bring in this new world. The ultimate, that's where we're going. That's what they're trying to prevent. That's what they're trying to prevent. Okay, now what we're going to focus on, we're talking about this war here. This war is about to take place. We're going to get to the point where actually where we are right now in time, we're going to show you how we got there, because I want you to start studying chapter 11, because it's a timetable. It's a timeline. Right? It actually gives you the times like a clock. Ticking clock in chapter 11 of the Injil or Revelation that tells you exactly the time. There's the only book in the scripture that does that. It tells you, but you got to understand it. So that's what we're going to talk about here, right? And the time, the starting point is 1948. See, because as it says, remember, this is all about Suleiman. This whole pressure was to bring Suleiman into existence, an unprecedented person for unprecedented time. So the process started why 1948? Because that's the point where he would be conceived. Because it says, how would you know? They give you all these signs. All these signs. So how could you miss them? Even a blind person could see him. They said a star would rise in the east to herald his conception. So if the star rose in the east, that means he would be conceived in the west. How can you argue that one? And so a star did rise in 1948. That's false Israel. At the same time, Suleiman, so if you want to find Suleiman, find the person that was conceived at the same time that star went up. 1948. Between March and April 1948, that would be conceived. That means birthday would be in January 1949 if it was conceived in that period of time. You can't, he just went back and changed birth certificate. Boy, man, you gotta get those people, those files at Farrakhan, one thing, right? They can sure pull stuff out of their butt, boy. Man, I mean, something wrong with those people, because they pull stuff out of their butt and then they eat it. We try to feed other people. I mean, something kind of wrong about that, ain't it? I mean, you're not supposed to do stuff like that, right? They seem to have a good time with it, you know? Well, I guess they might get used to it, because that's pretty much what they're going to have to eat pretty soon. Okay. Days, 2000, what does this mean? Now, remember, we're talking about chapter 11, right? So you got to get the transliteral. You read King James Version, it's going to be all messed up. You're not going to get it. See? Because they transliteral, they don't try to put their interpretation. They just take the word, look at the word, and translate. Look what King James Version, look at the verse, try to figure out what it means, then translate it, and which a lot of stuff gets messed up anyway. So it says there will be this days 1,260, which is 1,260 days, which equals 42 months, which translates to 42 years. Remember, it's a coded book. It's sealed. So we're unsealing it. So when they talk about that, they're talking about 42 years there. Okay. So 1948, see? So it says they would start their witnessing in 1948 and we're going for 42 years, which brings to 1990, right? That's two witnesses they talk about. Who are two witnesses? Two witnesses are the Shia. That's Michael's angels, right? That's the Shia. We'll show that. That's the Shia. So it said they would journey at the time that false Israel came into existence, which would be the same time that Suleiman, which in the angel, he's represented as the son, because he's the priest. See, but Pharaoh is the God. Pharaoh is David. He would sit on the throne, but it would be Suleiman that would build the temple, because Suleiman would be a high priest, but David would be the God. That's the scripture. That's why I call him the Son of God. That's why I call Son of Man the Son of God. That's why Jesus said he was the Son of God, because he's a spiritual son of Pharaoh. Because Pharaoh is David. David is the God. You understand the scripture, understand this. So that's why the Quran says, Allah doesn't have any children. Because they say you can't keep saying that, because they're saying it wrong, because they got it all wrong. That's not what they're talking about. When he says he's the son of God, it means he's the spiritual son of David. David is the God. And he's Suleiman. That's where son of man comes from. Suleiman, son of man. It's Latin anyway. So watch this closely, because the son represents Suleiman. That's what he's conceived at the same time false Israel. Watch where America and Britain is, and then watch the top of the sun. See, coming at the same time. See, okay. Then we go to 1975. Now remember here, this is where the witnesses start their witnessing. 1948, we're going for 42 years. Now, between that time, 1975, Elijah departs. See, because Elijah was ministering to the wheat and the chaff. Remember, somebody sowed the wheat, the chaff amongst the wheat, or the weeds among the wheat. He said, no, let them go together. Minister to both of them. Because we want to separate them to harvest time, because you might hurt the wheat by trying to pull out the weeds. That's what it is. See, Elijah Muhammad is witnessing both of them. The wheat, which is the saints or the Ninevites, they're the Levites, and the demons, right? Those are Christian blacks. When they say black is a generic term, I hate to even use it, because they say black is a generic term. It means anybody got any black blood in them. But if a Caucasian have a child by a black woman, isn't that a Caucasian child? It means that's the seed, right? But this right, he's black. So they disown him, even his own child. But if a black man has a child by a Caucasian woman, he's still black. Or any woman, he's black. But he's only white if you 100%. Brother says, anyway, that's what it's talking about here. So 1975, after Pharaoh came and raised him up to about 40 years, so 1975, he departs. He was preaching on the throne, he was preaching to both the Christian black, in his nation of Islam, both of them was in there. He was preaching to both, right? He tried to separate them out. Then he departs. See? Goes up to Pharaoh. He covers up, right? Lion Farrakhan covers him up. He can't see. So that's a read of lies. Just what happened to where's the God of Elijah? Because he can't see him at that point. That's another story, right? I'm not going to get sidetracked here, because there's so much we can talk about each one of these things. He goes up in 1975, right? The witnesses are still witnessing, right? And then there's a falling away. See, then the falling away takes place because there's no leadership. So the nation falls away. All falls away. Blacks all fall away because there's no leadership now. See, because John's been beheaded. Don't mean he cut his head off. That means the organization was beheaded. So it fall away. There's no leadership. They got rid of NOI. They buried it. Wallace and Farrakhan together. Not Wallace by himself. Farrakhan was his top minister. They did it together. They buried it, and they pissed on it, and it starts a thing called the Balalians. They burned up all the stuff Elijah Muhammad said, and they badmouthed Elijah constantly. Farrakhan was one of them. That's why Elijah Muhammad told him to his face before he left, you're going to be one of my main, you're going to be my main hypocrite. There you go. Then the son of perdition is revealed. A couple years later, he pops back up, right? And said he was set in the temple, right? Elijah's temple, Elijah's seat, proclaimed himself as God above all gods. Everything is called God. Who's called God, right? Farah is called God. False Israel is called God. He's above. That's what it's talking about. You got to understand Israel language. I'm a young God. Foolish, foolish, foolish. Then it talks about days 3.5. It's different than what it said before. Days 3.5. 3 days and a half. Half of what? See, they assume that three means 3 weeks and a half, whatever. 3 days, half of the 42 years. That comes out to half of 40, half of 42 is 21 plus 3. That comes 24. That's 24 years. The first time it's about years. First was 42 years, then 24 years, right? Okay. It's 1990, right? Their witnessing ends at 1990, and that's that time they will be cast down. See, America falls to Israel, and Britain will go to war in the Middle East. They'll invade the Middle East and supersede the power of Iran and Syria, the most powerful countries, right? They moved them, so they pushed them out of their position. That's what it means. So they ascended to heaven. See, that's what it's talking about here. Because you're talking about earth. Earth represents America, Britain, Russia, Europe, Eastern Europe, Western Europe. All that represents earth. But the Shia represents mid-heaven. Everything above there represents heavens. But because they're between the earth and the heavens, they're called mid-heavens in chapter 19. See? So now they're about to be pushed out. It said be pushed out, right? After they witnessed for 1990. So 1991, they was pushed out when the war actually started. See, they're pushed out. Now America, Britain, they're the main power brokers in the Middle East now. See? So they was cast down by Gog and Magog. Who is Gog and Magog? That's America and Britain. It's Gog and Magog. They pushed them out when they moved in. They've been in control of the Middle East ever since. And this was going for 24 years. We said this was going for 24 years. They have been in this position. Okay? Then, in 2008, we see Obama comes in. That's what's talking about the one on the first seal, right? It says he rode on a white horse. See a demon right there? Those are also called horses. The white one's a white horse, the reddish horse, the black horse, and the greenish yellow horse, which is greenish yellow, not pale. Those are also called horses. Depends on the chapter and what they're talking about. So he was riding a white horse. He had a bow and a crown, golden crown, right? And he went for a conquer and to conquer. That means he had two conquests. The first one here, he's in authority over America, right? And the next one, he'll be authority over a non-Islamic African country. Because Africa, in a few more days, when all this happens, Africa is going to split into two parts. It's not going to be all these nations anymore. It's going to be two parts, right? It's going to be non-Islamic Africa and Islamic Africa. Non-Islamic Africa, he's going to be in control of. I know you don't see it, but I told you in advance. I mean, Africa's just, Africa's going to come together, but it's in the two segments. Okay, so here we go. So at this point in time, this is when Suleiman, right, he goes to NOI during this period of time. He goes there, right, and he's preaching to the NOI. But they reject them. So the light shine in the dark, that's why I call it dark, because they're black. That's the black horse. It's light shine in the dark, and the dark is comprehended not. You see? So it's talking about. So he goes there, they reject him. But in the Shia is cast down, this is, right? They're still in that position. They've been there for 24 years, right? They'll be selected about 2015, right? But the time of Obama was 2008, 2016. So in 2015, right? What would happen? 2015, that's when they made this agreement. That's what we're going to really focus on, the JCPOA agreement, right? That's when that agreement made. Obama made that agreement, right? Which means they'll be under the foot of the nations now, See, for 3.5 years. We see that in a minute. He made an agreement because the agreement was they would be under control of the UN. Who is the UN? UN represents the nation of the world. So they'd be under their authority. They'd be under their authority. That's what it means here. They'd be under their authority. That's the agreement he made. His JCPOA. So here, months now, they're talking about 42, right? 42 months. That says they'd be under the foot of the nations, trampled out by nations for 42 months. 42 months is 3.5 years. So they'd be under for 3.5 years. From 2015, for 3.5 years, they'd be in that position. See? Ooh, I went the wrong way. There you go. Now they're under authority of the nations. See, it says, because it was given to the nation and the city of holy, they were trampled on for 42 months, 3.5 years. So for 3.5 years, they'll be under control of the nation, under the UN. That's what it's talking about. See, all these lined up. I'm just telling you mathematics to understand chapter 11. It's the mathematics of it. They'll be under for 3.5 years. That'll be from 2015 to mid-2018. Okay, at that point, see, at this point right here, they'd be in that position. And then it says, and then the agreement will be broken. Because they only been in that position for 3.5 years. So the start of 3.5, and so the start of it. Here's the start. That's Trump. He breaks the agreement. Mid-2018. Exactly what happened. He broke the agreement. He says, okay, no agreement. Then he started implementing sanctions and all that kind of stuff. So America's technically at war, because that's what sanctions are. That's an economic war, right? I call it economic war against a nation, because economic war has just as much facts as a nuclear bomb. It kills many people. You know, during the Iraq thing, when they put sanctions on them, they killed, I think, like 50,000 babies. I think they said that died because of those sanctions. I forget the number. It was a large number. But that's where America's technically at war with Iran. If someone was sitting and wouldn't allow you to go to work, right, and wouldn't allow you to go to the store, wouldn't let you buy anything to feed your family, wouldn't you think they was at war with you? If they was preventing you from doing that? See, America gets the right to claim what they side was war. But if they was doing that to America, America would definitely, you understand, be at war with them. Like in Japan, I don't want to get distracted here, but what happened was, it's a long story, but they caused that war because they sent Admiral Perry in there at the beginning of the century, because Japan was an isolated country, didn't want to bother anybody. They sent Admiral Perry and said, if you don't start trading with us and get involved with everything, we're going to blow you away. They brought Japan in. If you watch that movie, what was that movie with what's his name? Tom Cruise, Samurai, right? There's a lot of truth in that, because they forced them to modernize. See, and Japan has the same circumstances that Britain had. They're island countries have very little resources, so they forced them to do it. So then, as a part of them forced to do it, that means Japan, now they have machines, all that kind of stuff. They forced on that kind of industry. They needed war materials to fuel it. So they did the same thing. What do you think Britain was going to do? Once they became mathematical, you understand? Because they spawned, they were magog. They spawned mathematical Christianity, right? The industry and everything we see right now was spawned from them. So then they had resources to fuel that thing. So they had to go all over the world, taking it from everybody else. Because they didn't have it, because they were an island country. Japan had the same problem. So that's why they started invading China and all these other places, because they fuel it. Because America forced them into that situation, because now they got this, but now they got to do this, but now how are they going to fuel it? See? And so after about 50 years, and all of a sudden, just like you see China right now, China was a basket case with Elijah Muhammad was around, but look at them now. And that's the same thing happened in Japan, because those people are very technical. So you got to understand their nature. See, the Europeans are very analytical, but them people, they're even more technical. They're totally technical. That's why you understand their creation. I talk about my goals, my goals. I'm not getting to all that. That's why I call them death. But if you don't understand how technical these people are, they're super technical, even more technical than the Europeans are. See, and this ain't no Japan was a powerful, powerful country. This little island, powerful country, this little island. See. And then what happened? America said, okay, America wanted to get in war with, because they allied, Japan allied with Hitler. So America wanted to get into that war to save Britain. And so they, and American public didn't want to do it. So he had to start a war. So they did start embargo in Japan. Now that was a death sentence because Japan needed this fuel, you understand, all these resources to get everybody else to fuel their economy. And now America put a blockade where they couldn't get that anymore. So what you thought was going to happen? And they was a powerful country, got a powerful navy, they're very militant and everything. We thought it was going to happen. They knew what was going to happen. They knew exactly what happened. Because they knew Japan was going to attack, then they had an excuse to get into the World War II. That's the whole story. See. So they know what's going to happen here because they want this war to happen. They want this war to happen with Iran because their vision of it is a whole different vision because they want this war to eliminate all their enemies and eliminate us too at the same time. We'll see that in a few minutes. That's what they wanted this war for. See? The end of all wars. See? You think this COVID thing, this is a biological, the world's in a biological war right now. They're trying to figure out, well, who really started it? You said, but this is coming from Farad. But it didn't start there. See, it's a backfire. Because they started this thing. The world's in a biological war right now. And Moshe's still sitting around. You don't understand, because you don't see things blowing up. But look how many people, more people in America has been killed, right? And all the wars together, right, for this biological war. You know, there's more people killed right now than those two bombs that dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. You don't understand. World's at war right now, and you sitting around still with your thumb up your behind talking about, hey, man, I want to watch the NFL. The war's at war right now. It's a biological war. It's getting worse all the time. You hear right now. They won't admit it. They say, there are all these new strains, man. Is the vaccine going to work against them? And this thing mutating every 5 seconds. They got this new strain coming from Britain. They say, we don't know, man. We're testing it right now to see if this vaccine will work on this new one. But yet still, they're telling me that vaccine, they still think we'll be wearing masks a couple of years from now, all that kind of stuff. You can't read between the lines. And if they got the vaccine, everybody should be going back to work doing what they want to do, man. Everything should be cool, right? If they got a vaccine that solves it. If they got a vaccine, right? Then what's everybody panic for? Why are they still closing down stuff? Why are they doing all that? They got a vaccine. They don't have no vaccine. They think, well, you still might be still wearing a mask? Just go get a vaccination. If it works, get everybody vaccinated. No, well, we might still be wearing masks. Now I tell you what, make 2 masks, 3 masks. And you think they really got something to save you? And anyway, I wouldn't take it even in any way. So yes, your choice. I wouldn't. See, anyway. So now it's talking about, see, this, where it says war started when we wrote the agreement. It says talking about 3 days and a half. See, the first was 42 years, then 24 years, then 42 months, then 24 months was 3.5 years. 2 years. First was 42 years, then 24 years. Wait a minute. Yeah, 42 years and then 24 years, right? And then 42 months. And then 24 months. So in 42 months, 3.5 years, that was, he broke, they was under the nation. Trump broke it. And now we're in a 2-year period. Remember, see the pattern there? 42, 24, 42, 24. But one's talking about years, one's talking about months. Okay? So now it's going to take 2 years, right, for them to get to where we are right now. See? Because the agreement is broken. Broke 2 years ago. Right? So that would take them to mid-2020, right? Where it says they would, during that period of time, they would spread plague. The scripture tells us this plague, the version that they have now is coming from Farad. Farad said, I will send this plague that's going to kill the firstborn and the elderly. And the purpose of the plague to force you out. It means it's time for us to go home. For them to force us out of here. See? Because well, anyway, that's the purpose of it. For us to go home. And it says 1619 to 2019, that's 20 years, 2020 will be the plague that God said for us he would send, right? And it tells you in chapter 11 is that these witnesses, that's who's going to be doing it for them. Because it said they would spread plagues on the earth. Remember, earth of European countries as often as they wish. So that means during that period of time, this period of time between 2018 and 2020, right? Mid-2018, not that's 22-year period, that the plague will occur. That's what it's telling you, chapter 11. That's what exactly happened. Okay? So here we go. So this during this 2-year period, right? See, plagues, right? Trump kills agreement, manufacturing implemented, economic war, then the plagues during that period of time. See? Not the locust plague yet. Not that one yet. Right? That's on the way. See? So that's what happened here. Between 2018, halfway, 2006, there'll be a plague, right? And that's the time that they're moving up. See, putting pressure. Because in this, the other ones, that's how long they was in a position. But this last one is how long it's taking to move from this position to another position. So it's like a wind. They're moving. That's what we're talking about chapter in the 6th seal. They're moving them. So it's a wind. Okay. That's what's going on here. So after, see, this here is during the 2-year period. Right? From 2018 midway, 2020 midway. That's during, right? That's what will be happening. But after, so that means that'll bring you to 2020, mid-2020. After that, now we say mid, we're not talking about from January, we're talking about from March, because March is the beginning of the year. It's a real beginning of the year. They change stuff around. You can just easily look at it if you know anything about Spanish, right? See, 7, 8, 9, they say, right? 7, 8, September, 7, 8, October, 9, November, they say, December. That means December will be the 10th month, it'll be the 9th month. You got it? That's where it was. The Romans changed it. So you got it. So after that, so this will put you right where we are right now, past 2020, right? Mid-2020, around December, around November. Now, if something would happen in November that would change everything. I mentioned that. Says, what would happen in November that would change the whole world, shock the world? People didn't notice that. But nobody expected Biden to win that election. Even Biden expected. He had no audience. Nobody showed up. And his whatever whatever he had. Nobody showed up. He was based in the cellar, right? And Trump was getting all kinds of people showing up, his rallies and everything else. Nobody showed up at Biden's rallies, right? The man was senile. He barely talked. He hardly gave any interviews. Nobody expected him to win. He didn't expect himself to win. And then when he won, it shocked everybody. Nobody expected that. Because they stole it, you know. That's why they got the troops around it right now, because they scared somebody going to find out and expose the fact they actually stole it. See, somebody's going to do it probably, right? Because you know, somebody's going to figure, hey, they can make a name for themselves. Anyway, so it said after that. So after 20, at that point in time, that says the Spirit of God came in. See right here, they're moving up now. Now the God they're talking about right there is Antichrist. That's Satan. He's called God of this age. That's the God I talk about. They're talking about any God. That God, right? It says Spirit. Who's the Spirit? The demons also called spirits. So that means the Spirit of the God came in. That means they moved up and they're covering Europe right now. That means they're moving. They're putting pressure on America, Britain. They're challenging, right, their power, their authority to be in that position. So they're moving up. So they're going to be covering Russia and Europe, but they're moving up. That's where they're going to be at that point. That's where they are right now. That's what it means. They're moving up. Took 2 years to do it. That's where they are right now. There you go. They are right now. See, they're in position for war. Now they're in position for war. They're in position for war right now. That's the position they are right now. Position for war. They moved up there. Now they're in position of war. Getting ready to challenge America, Britain, as far as Israel. That's what it's talking about. Spirit of God. Because then said they would stay on their feet. There's two actions. First, the Spirit of God came to them, and then they stood upon their feet. When they stood upon their foot, that's the war, which is going to break out. It says a war broke out in heaven. Okay, here, you got this one, right? They're in their position, right? Now we go here and it says, after, remember we talking about during, after the days and a half, and that same hour. We're talking about same hour. That's where you, remember, everything in there talks about all the way up to this point. But they're talking about something else. They're talking about in the same hour. What is that? And nobody pays attention to that one. They ain't paying attention to others either. This one is telling you right here what's about to happen. See, it took you, like I said, as you get closer, I'll explain it more and more to you. I told you I was going to explain it more and more till you get closer. But if I'm telling you, I'm telling them. See? So I brought you up to where we are right now, and now I'm going to take you to the next stage. Right? So that name, same hour. What are they talking about? You got to go in chapter 18 to find that, because it talks about in one day, right, Babylon was taken down, but it explains right in the middle between that, between Babylon going down and then Magog, Britain going thrown into the sea, right? An hour, an hour, an hour. So that's the hour they talk about, that period of time when the war is happening. See? So that would be right now, because this would be after the 2 years. After 3 days and a half, which is 2 years, after that, in that same hour. So where's that hour about? You got to read what the hour about. See? And that hour occurs shaking great. Shaking great in angel means a war. That means war is about to happen. Anytime now. So in that hour, right here, verse 13 at the bottom, in that hour occurs shaking great. Now, at the top here was chapter 18. That corresponds to the same thing. It says, though in one day will come the plagues of her, death, mourning, and famine, and fire shall be burned down, because strong Lord, the Lord, the God, having judged her. What it means? Mourning, right? That means that's where Babylon be cast down to. See, it says mourning, death. That's where Magog is thrown into the sea, because death represents Oriental countries. See, and it says, and famine. Famine represents the locust. Locust caused famine. And the fire should burn down. That's the four winds blowing, because if that first wind, right, is the first trumpet, and what it brought fire. That's what it's talking about. It's also talking about right here. That's chapter 18. We're talking about chapter 18. We're talking about chapter 11, and we're talking about chapter 12 right in the middle. It says, and war occurred in heaven. Michael's angels and went to war with the dragon's angels, right? But the dragon angels got their ass kicked. They was thrown out. See? And the angel was thrown out with them. That means America and Britain and forces are about to be thrown out. That's war. And war is going to happen any day now. There you go. It's got kicked out. See? Now they're victorious. The Shia are victorious. And they're not by themselves. It says, Michael and his angels. They wasn't victorious by themselves. Fra is going to be assisting them with his wheels. That's how they get knocked out. That's why he's not going back anymore. Now tell the American public that. Tell the American public, Rush help them, everything. Anything would tell them, because they got the greatest military, the greatest air force in the world. They can't tell them that they got something over there that wipe out anything that tries to fly. They wipe out a fly if it got an American flag on it. See, that's what it's talking about right there. It says, after 3 days and a half, the light of God entered them, and they stood upon the feet of them. Now they stood upon their feet. That's what's about to happen. It's about to happen. Because this 1 hour represents 1 year. Remember I said through this 1 day, that hour represents 1 day. That 1 day started in November with the election of Biden. That 1 day started then. That means this 1 day will go from here until November this year. All these things will happen between this period of time. See? So here we go right here. They stood upon the feet of them. See? So this has happened. See? Then that's at the point in time where it says the woman. Now really got this is getting this little advanced here. It says woman is getting two wings of eagle. Well, the eagle represents European countries. The only one got two wings of the Europe because those Russia and Europe represents two wings of the eagle. So he's talking about that demon, right? That part of the woman. When they talk about the woman, you have to understand the scripture because they tell you different. Understand the wording because they talk about different women, different parts of the woman, right? So talking about this one, okay? But then it's talking about another one that's going to be nourished from the face of the serpent. Understand that. It says for a time, and appointed times. We understand that. Chapter 18, I'm not going into details, but we need to read what it talks about. And it says, 1 hour this going to happen, the economy collapse, and then another hour, talking about hour 3 times, right? And then, but you got it's a code in there. So that's what it's talking about, during that period of time. During that period of time, so that means when this happens, that's when Suleiman, right? He says he's going to be nourishing. That's that woman they're talking about. They ain't talking about the one that has two wings of eagle. Talking about that one. See, be nourished. That means he's at that point in time when this war happens over there and they're kicked out. That's when Suleiman is going to the NOI. Farrakhan is going to be dispatched. That's the Ancient of Days when he sets. But first, before he sets, he cast down thrones. He cast down all the people in authority over the NOI, cast them all down. Then he sets. Ancient of Days sets. Hair like lamb's wool. That sure ain't Farrakhan. That sure is not Farad. Farad is the God, but the Ancient of Days is not either one of them because his hair like lamb's wool. So that's very clear. So he was set. And that time, that'd be a time of beast destruction. That's what it's talking about. So they're going to listen to him then. See, he's going to prepare them because they're about to be attacked. See, the attack is coming. It's obvious it's coming. Okay, that's when he comes. Okay. And it says, and I heard a voice. Okay, and this is where America's about to fall. See, so I'm putting this here, but I really should go a little further down. But I want to point out this is the point where America is about to fall. It said Babylon fall. What it means fall? It's falling in position. You understand? You got to understand the angel key. He falls his position where it is. It's already kicked out of the Middle East. It's already kicked out of the Middle East. See, but now it's getting ready to go to war with Russia and Europe, right, and China and North Korea is about to go to war with them also. There you go. See. Now this one, this person that's saying this, we haven't got to him yet, because he's actually, right, that's the first win. See, I'm leaving it there, right? Because it says, she came a dwelling place. That's how you know, because see, it says, you know what you're talking about. So Babylon became a dwelling place, right, of demons and prison, every unclean spirit unclean. So the demons all called spirits. So see, it's under America. It says dwelling place, so it's right there with America. That's how you know Babylon represents America, and that's the demons right there. And also it says also a dwelling place of every unclean bird, which under them also is false Israel, which is the bird, that flying eagle. Hope you understand that. So now it fell. See, so and Britain was thrown into the sea. That's what last part of chapter 18. Britain was thrown into the sea, and America fell. Babylon fell. One fell, one thrown into the sea. There you go, right there. The sea also represents Oriental countries. So Britain was thrown into the sea, America fell. See? And this is where they attack. This is where they attack. See? Because that's what talking about Adam and Eve told them not eat a tree of knowledge of good and evil. Knowledge of evil is the Christian Negroes, right? They're demons. They're master's children, right? And the Levites, right? They're grafted in to the original nation, right? They're original people, right? But they're not a tribe of Shabazz. They're a tribe of Levites. Those ones Elijah raised. Says Elijah, right, he would raise the Levites. He's a Levite himself. But it takes Suleiman to raise Lazarus. So anyway, they're attacking. The point they're attacking right now. Because when you eat something, you consume, take out existence. Now they're attacking. See, they was planning on doing this before that they in the Middle East, but now they pushed their plan up because they wasn't expecting to get kicked out of the Middle East. Now they're attacking to get rid of us. Because now the game is over. Because now they can't pretend that false Israel is real Israel anymore. They can't pretend it because they're gone. Because as the prophet says, once you return, you'll never be uprooted. They can't pretend it. So now every whole world knows that we're the true seed of Abraham. And that this nation is about to be born. And they want to nip it in the bud. They do not want this nation to be born. So they're going to wipe us out. Plus, want to get rid of evidence. See, the kill, what they did to us, murder and everything, they want to get rid of it, rid of us. That's the point. That's what they attack. Okay? America attacks Britain. And this is when the winds start blowing. That's what said, right? Should be burned with fire. That first one is the wind. It's also the key. It says the angel, he felt, right, he had the key to the bottomless pit. The pit represents Europe and Russia. Yeah, that's the pit. So he had the key. He was the key. He was the key that released the locusts. See, he's the key that released the locusts because those four winds are also the four keys. He's the first one. He's the one that released the locusts. So after the war, right, they get kicked out. They go to war with China and Europe. That's what's going on at that point, right? They attack, right? They attack us. They attack the original people in America, wipe them out. And at that point, right, that's when Suleiman, right, because he's in the middle, he's in control of the Nation of Islam at that point, right? He's in control of it, right? He calls on Farad, right, to blow those four winds. Farad's in control of it. He calls on to blow those four winds, right? Because now they've been attacked. So that's when America hits with fire. So it's talking about right there. See, but now and that's when blacks start tearing this country apart. Insurrection, because they've been attacked, and now start tearing the country apart. See, they start tearing it apart, and also, they start tearing it apart. That's the locust place. So that's 5 months. So remember, this is still within the time frame of November 2020 to November 2021. So it's 5 months, has to be within that period of time. So the worst case would be, right, what, July, August, September, October, November, so June. So the worst case would be that part would have to happen before July. So everything's narrowing down because this has happened before November, November this year. So, but you got a 5 month period there. So there's 5 months. That 5 months is going on where they're tearing this country apart. I mean, you think the riots in the past, there'll be nothing compared to what this is all about right here. You have to understand Samson to understand this. But the point is that that's what's going on. See? So I said, we get closer, I'm going to bring it closer and closer to you. Make it clearer and clearer for you, right? That's what's happening right here. They're about to be released, right? So what happens now? The war is going to break out, right? America's got, how long is that war going to take? The angel tells you how long, I'm not going to tell you, right? How long that war is going to take? So it's going to happen any day now, so how long is it going to take? Once it takes, right, then America's, then false Israel has to be surrounded and taken out. So that's part of it too, right? Then, right, then America gets into war with China and India and Russia. So they have war with them. And then they attack. And then they attack. All that has to happen pretty soon, right? And all that has to happen before June, or before July, the worst. Then they attack, right? And then that's when the four wind blows, But the first one of it blows, and the locusts let loose. They tear his country apart. See? Worst case, it has to happen before June. And where we are right now, in February. Okay. So you can hold me accountable because I'm putting out there. I ain't like Farrakhan. Well, America, the nation unraveling. What the hell that mean? I mean, Roy Charles could told you that. Like I've been telling you that for 40-some years. Then the remaining four winds blow. The first one, then the remaining. See? So now the remaining four, all fours blow now. Then what? Then the resurrection. See, at this point, they've torn the country apart. Now all the blacks are pushed together to Suleiman. All come together now. See? And then they tear apart, country apart, everything. World's at war. They all pushed together. See? Because they're being attacked, still being attacked. Attack gets worse, more intense. So they push all black folks together. Demons and saints alike, wheat and chaff together. So it says they come together in harvest time, all come together. So they all come together. It says they all come together harvest time, but then the chaff be pulled out and thrown back in the fire, and the wheat be put in the barn. That's what's happening right. They're all together right now. See? All pushed together. And then what? There's all the demons. They're separated, thrown back in the fire. Because Europe, America and Europe are thrown in fire. They're all thrown back in the fire. And at that time, that's when the Shia, right, that's time we delivered. That's time we delivered. Because now we're over there. Because Shia's not coming here. That's time it says Michael stood, right? And at that time, those in the Lamb's book, or those in the book, they was delivered. Time unprecedented trouble. They was delivered, right? But there was two that weren't, right? Some everlasting life, some everlasting shame and apartment. The demons, everlasting shame and apartment. They throw them back in the fire. The saints, the wheat, that's the Levites, right? See, they not delivered, right? They still, see, what you see is, I don't show it here, that's the ark right there, right? And we see the reading staff, that's the new earth, or all the waters, right? And so they're part of the tribulation period. They come home because if they weren't delivered, that means they were still here. It says some everlasting, said they woke up too late. Some everlasting life, some everlasting shame and apartment. So Suleiman prepared them, but they go to tribulation because they call the silver. In Malachi, you got the gold, you got the silver. The silver was put back in. See, because silver it takes higher temperature and it purifies silver. So the time the gold was prepared, ready, silver was and put back in. Now they got to go to tribulation period. So they get home, but they got to go to tribulation. See, that's what that's talking about right here. Okay. And this was talking about. It says, and the shaking, it was what, 10th of the city fell. Did I show that? I don't think I showed that. When it said 10th city, well, yeah, I think I missed that one. Let's go back. It said 10th city fell. I want you, okay, right here. When it said 10th of the city fell, see, you got to count, we're talking about 10th city. America, Britain, at this point in time, right, they're the 10th. So that means they fall. That's the time they fall. That's talking about America, that's talking about Babylon fall. That's what it means, 10th of the city fell. At that point, they're the 10th because they still in the Middle East, so they fell. Then see, been pushed out. That's what that's talking about. And then it's the name of 7 men thousand, right? So once that happens, you get this scenario. See, the killing men, the names of men 7,000. So you get this, because that's separated, because that's what talking about. The separation takes place. See, so here we got, that's the new Jerusalem, right? You got the Suleiman, the seed of Abraham on top. You got the Shia, those are Pharaoh's angels, right? Or the rod of iron. You got the rainbow, that's the African Muslims, right? From the Levites, right? And then You got, say, reed staff, that's the Sunni Arabs, right? And then you got the NOI, right, right there. And they separated. And then the rest of the world is right here. See? And they're at war. The rest of the world is at war with each other. See? But we're at peace. And then that's the flood. Watch this. That's the flood he's talking about. It said flood the whole earth because once the Shia was taken out, see right there? The Shia is preventing the flood. They was the one holding the flood back. They was holding the flood back. The flood represents, it's a flood of humanity, not water. But they use water because the Oriental represents the sea and the Asian represents the rivers. So that's the water, right? That's what it means because of flood, but it's really a flood of humanity. 200 million man army, right? So they was holding back. Once they was removed, there was nothing holding back the flood anymore. Nothing holding back anymore. So then there's the flood. They invade America, right? First take out America, then Britain, then the rest of Europe. And Obama's with them. If you notice, the African countries now is in two parts, right? So the parts with him and the part up top, Farad. It's in two parts now. That's why I said it's going to be in two, it's broken up two parts. Islamic Africa and non-Islamic. They're going to be, the Islamic is going to be allied with China and India. Because Asia represents India, right? And Oriental represents China in general, right? Because they're going to be allied together against European countries. Because you see them rising right now. That's what I'm talking about. Had the beast, the dragon had 7 heads and 10 horns, but the crowns on his heads. But the beast has 7 heads, 10 horns also, the same ones, but the crowns on his horns. The horns represents where you see Orient and Asia. So the power shift, needs a power shift. Because while they're at war with Europe, right, and attacking us here, right, because you see China's rising, right, and India's rising, now the power shifts to them. That's what it's talking about. See? Then you had another one that had 7 heads, 10 horns, but didn't have any crowns at all. But that's talking about Obama. So they all, and so he would be alongside the other ones. That's what it's talking about there. And that's it, brothers and sisters. Hope I explained it in detail. Like I said, as close, I explain it more and more detail. Right? Like I said, when I explain them, I'm explaining to you. I explain to you, I'm explaining them also. So that needs, those of you studying, you study more. See, but watch what you say. See? Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. Okay, well, I'll leave you with that. I just want to say it's a very beautiful time for those of you who are the seed of Abraham, you youngsters out there, young folks, because you're the ones going to inherit the kingdom. You're the ones going to build the kingdom. My job is just to get you there. Farad's job is to protect you, right? See, get you going, you know, set the rule. He's going to rule, make everything's okay, kosher, right? But the kingdom's given to you all. See, you're going to build a kingdom. Our future's on your shoulders. And you might not, some of you might not think of too much, a lot of our brothers and sisters right now, but our brothers and sisters, they're beautiful, they're great. I don't hear this crap Farrakhan talking about, hey man, you're so sinful. You're evil. He's talking about his people. Talking about his people. Because you're not. You're beautiful people. We're not trying to change you. See? We're trying to educate you. And when you educate, you improve yourself. But we don't want to change. We want you to be just like you are. That's the last thing Farad told Elijah Muhammad on his way. I says, tell your people to be themselves. So don't buy anybody trying to change. You ain't got to try to be like somebody else. How you ever be happy trying to be like somebody else? Be yourself. See? Because you're beautiful, you're perfect, right? See, you're perfect who you are. You're not just perfect as you are. See? That's where that's where the transformation takes place, right? See, to be your best self, to be who you are. That's why you have to have thorough knowledge. How can you be yourself and have a thorough knowledge of yourself? You don't know how to be yourself and have thorough knowledge of yourself, right? So once you have a thorough knowledge of yourself, then you know how to be yourself. Because they're trying to get you to be like everybody else. Trying to make you look like this person, that person, look like anything else, anything other than you. We love you like you are. I mean, love you, yeah, we love you for who you are. See? But we got work to do, see? Because we're not, as we are, hey, we've been in cesspool. How you think? If you've been in cesspool for 40 years, you're going to be stinking. You're going to be dirty. You're going to be messy. But Farad, right, and Suleiman's got the right remedy for that. Because most of you just need a hot bath, a real hot one, hot shower. Few of you need a little spanking, and you're going to get that. But you're going home. And these people that are resisting and getting away, they got a bad day coming ahead of them. Got a lot of bad days ahead of them. Said they'd be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Oh, I wish I had taken away with the messenger. Wish I had taken such one for a friend. Okay, brothers and sisters, hope you understand. Keep your eye on JCPOA, because I was going to put that here, but I'm not going to do it now, right? But right now, France, Germany, America, Britain has told Iran they got to stop, because now they are rich in making metal uranium, which is, they say, is a key component for a nuclear bomb. And so they said, you got to stop doing it. We're not threatening with sanctions, we're threatening with military action. Military action. And they said they could have this bomb within a few weeks. That tells you something. That means if they can have it, they think have a few weeks, that means they got to attack soon. Because once they get it, the game is over. That's what they're saying. They say, you got to stop doing it. And Iran says, no, we're not going to stop doing anything. And that's that scenario. The other scenario is that now you deal with Biden, right? The man's senile, right? They know he stole the election, right? And he's saying he wants them to come back into the JCPOA, right? Before he would lift the sanctions. And Iran said, hell with that. You lift the sanctions first, and then we'll consider going back to JCPOA, because y'all the one broke it. But I said, no, ain't no way. You got to come back first. And Iran said, I ain't going to do that, because you got to understand what's going on there. See, the Iranians, they're the old Persians. They're the ones that invented chess. They know if they go back and they stop doing what they're doing, that means they get back to JCPOA. That means they have to get rid of everything they've done in the last few years. Get rid of all their centrifuges, get rid of all their rain, get all that stuff. So now they're not back 2 or 3 years, and then America still lifts the sanctions. Because how are they going to trust America after what they've done? So, and that's the thing, that's what they're looking at. Saying, are you crazy? Now you got everything. Now you still got sanctions us, and we 2 or 3 to 4 years back from getting the weapons that can protect ourselves. So we ain't doing that. So Biden said, well, okay, well then we ain't gonna lift the sanctions then. So they're at the impasse. They're at the impasse, and nobody's budging. And you got time, because time is the clock is ticking, because they're saying they're gonna have a weapon within a few weeks. Do the math, brothers and sisters. And the same thing they was talking about when they were outside, was saying, well, he's going to have a bomb within a few weeks. So we got to get him. He didn't have no bomb, but you understand what I'm saying? They were paying you. And the other thing I'm going to say lastly, you got to understand how these people work. They play the same game, but it keeps working, so why change it? They use the same thing against America, Indians, use everything. Divide and conquer, like Muhammad told you, I said, that's your idea. So they set the framework, right? Just like that's Hitler played that same game. First, you got to take it, dehumanize you, make the people hate you, and everything they're doing is making people hate. The Democratic Party said be cunning. They're very cunning with this. They have an American people. You think that they're on your side? They got the American people hating you because they putting the black face on this virus because you won't take the vaccine now. Because that kind of doing it on purpose. They tell them to do that. See, they won't take the vaccine. So that means you're the ones causing, because you're dying disproportionately. That means you're the ones spreading this stuff. And now you want to take it. Now you want to take the vaccine, right? So you're the one that's causing all this problem. So they put that face on you. That means, man, all that problems we got They say, in other words, they're trying to make it look like all America's problems is your fault, right? Defund the police. You complain about the police. You don't want to salute you don't want to kneel before you don't want to bow before the anthem. You don't want to salute the anthem. See? You say, you're calling us racist. See? You're knocking all of Trump's people. They ain't no damn good. You want to put them in jail and all that stuff. And remember, that was 70-some million people that voted for him. That's just the one that voted, but the rest of them behind him anyway. And so they're making you the fall guy. You're the reason for all America's problems. You're the reason for all America's problems. That's what Hitler did. He made the Jews a problem. Hitler was Germany was in trouble. He made the Jews the symbol of Germany's problem. Once they did that, the people was easy. Yeah, get rid of them. We get rid of our problem. Man, we suffering. We get rid of them. We have no problems. Well, that's what they did. Next thing, they burned them up. That's what the Democratic Party is doing for you. You think they're for you? No, they taking and raging the rest of the country against you. And then once they get, because they saw it when this thing would happen up at January 6th, right? They saw how they got a rage. That rage probably pointed towards you. And they said, oh, they're almost ready. They're almost ready. That's why I got guards around there. Because they know people are almost ready. See, almost, they're not quite ready, almost. Almost ready. See? So now, minimum wage, right? And equity, and we got to do all this stuff for black people and everything else. And we're taking jobs away from white people. See, just arbitrarily, hey man, y'all find some other jobs. Who do you think that's going to be directed at? And increasingly, the Democratic Party is starting to look like having a black face to it. See, more black folks emerging. Who the person in charge of the Pentagon? See, you get it? So then once they get you raised up, they take the mask off. And then they have them come after you. Because they can always blend back and say, hey man, we made a mistake, man. We ain't with those Negroes. We with you. And leave you out hanging. You better understand, they're setting you up. And you should keep watching NFL, the NBA, and all that kind of stuff. Some of you are going to be taken out. They're setting you up. You don't even see it. Because it's very slick. See? Very slick. And you think, and they got Kamala Harris. See, she got a black face on it too, but she ain't black. See, she's Indian. And she's a Brahmin. And they hate the dark-skinned Indians too. They kill them with impunity. They try to make she's black. She remember she called black first, now she calls herself Asian. She down with this program too. Get rid of you. Obama's down with this program. This is the program to get rid of you. The serpent Obama told the woman, because she was supposed to see that's one of the reasons I hate Trump so much, because he messed their game plan up. Because this was supposed to be happening during Hillary's reign. She's supposed to be president 8 years. See, but Trump, he must get the memo because he reversed all his policies. Send your jobs overseas, right? Trying to stop abortion and to forget, abortion, 22 million and counting. And you support a policy, a country, you support a party that's killing you, that supports killing your children, because that's your children die, 22 million. And you want political power, and you killing your political power, because the power is in vote, ain't it? And you killing your voters? Anyway, that's what's happening. They're setting you up. It says will come as a snare. That means you won't see it. You know what a snare is? Come as a snare. They're setting you up. Look at their history. They was the slave masters, right? There was Jim Crow. There was Ku Klux Klan. There was all of that. There was the one segregationists during the Civil Rights Movement. There was one standing at the doorway and everything. It was all of them. All the way. All of a sudden, then Bill Clinton come in, and all of a sudden, they love you. And this political party, they went political. They figured they couldn't win the battlefields and went political. So they started sending jobs overseas, right? Okay, that means you can't afford to have a baby, birth control, support abortion clinics. They put in show me waiter, what do they call that, right? Abort your children. The Democrats did that. 22 million of them did. They worshiped Margaret Sanger, who stated purpose was to eliminate you through abortion. She's a founder of Planned Parenthood, where they got all black neighborhoods. They don't have any white neighborhoods. Bill Clinton did that. He bankrupted Detroit, sent jobs overseas, right? So he gave all your industrial jobs to China. gave all your electoral jobs to India, gave all agricultural jobs to Mexico. And when they built prisons for you, that crazy. Then 3 strikes laws. The 3 strikes, they put you in prison forever for nothing. You can have one thing of crack, one little vial of crack, right? Or one little reefer, and you go to jail forever. But you can have a whole truckload of cocaine, and you get slapped on the wrist. Who's got the truckload of cocaine? Who's got the one little vial of crack? And you don't understand any of that? The Democrats did all of that. So they said, all right, we'll fool these niggas. That's what John said, man. He's going to pass a civil rights bill, right? And it says they're going to have these niggas, man, they're going to love them kissing their butt for 1,000 years. And you didn't understand that. See? Oh, they gave you affirmative action, right? And before the ink was dry, right, because the language would go to minorities. Why say minorities? How can you just say black folks? See? Because they trick you every time. Minorities, just Democrats again, right? Minorities. And then soon before the drink was dry, they said, okay, all women are minorities. So who got all those jobs that you thought was going to get? The white women got them. You didn't get them. You got more prisons. And all these demons running around here telling you, hey, man, we love, he's first black president and everything. Clinton and all these demons. They're demons. They wouldn't be in TV. They wouldn't be in those positions if they weren't master's children. Back in the fields, you're still on the plantation now. You just don't realize it. Back in those fields, what happened? Back in those fields, right, you knew not to trust slave masters' children. Because they came out, there was the preachers, encourage you to love master, work hard for master, or it was spies or whatever. But they lived in the master's house. Those people on TV, those sports figures, celebrity, everything, they didn't get there talking like Elijah Muhammad talk. They're demons. They're master's children. Well, I love America. America's great. That's like that. You see, one step out of line like Copenhagen, and what happened? He slapped his ass down. See, those are not your people. They're demons. They may look like you, walk you, talk. That's why I said that'd be a last weapon. See, that's why I said they mixed in to choke us, to keep us. They didn't want to keep us divided, separated, because they look like us, talk like us, can walk like us, right? But they ain't us. See, they can't really act like us. Only short periods of time, but it can't last. They ain't us. They keep us divided. Because you see, you start waking up, hey, brother, man, why you down with that stuff, man? You just lie behind me, man. You want to leave this country, don't you love? See? Indoctrinate your children. Children don't know who they are no more. They don't know whether they're male or female or what. That's another thing, right? You ain't producing children if you're in prison, are you? And if you transgender, you ain't producing children. All of it is designed to stop your, that's what it says scripture, to stop you from reproducing. And then finally just get rid of you. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. All right. Assalamu alaikum.